The year is 2025. The world watches as a diplomatic standoff unfolds between the United States and Colombia. At the heart of the matter are two U.S. military planes grounded in Colombia. Their cargo? 160 deported migrants. Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a staunch advocate for human rights, refused entry to the planes. Petro's decision sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community. He argued that the treatment of deportees on these flights was inhumane. Colombia, he asserted, would not be complicit in such practices. The move was a bold statement, a clear message that Colombia prioritizes the dignity of all individuals. This act of defiance was met with mixed reactions. Human rights groups lauded Petro's stance, hailing it as a victory for human dignity. They pointed to reports of degrading treatment on similar deportation flights, with deportees shackled and denied basic necessities. Others, however, expressed concerns about potential economic repercussions and a strain on U.S.-Colombian relations. The U.S. response was swift and uncompromising. Former President Donald Trump, back in the Oval Office after a 4-year hiatus, took to his favored platform, X, formerly Twitter, to voice his displeasure. He accused Colombia of obstructing U.S. law enforcement and threatened severe economic consequences. Trump, known for his aggressive trade tactics, promised a 25% tariff on all Colombian goods. This sent shockwaves through the Colombian economy, heavily reliant on exports to the U.S. Coffee, a major Colombian export, was particularly vulnerable. The livelihoods of countless Colombian farmers hung in the balance. The U.S. didn't stop at tariffs. The Trump administration threatened a travel ban on Colombian citizens, a move that could cripple tourism and sever family ties. Furthermore, the U.S. threatened to revoke visas of Colombian officials and halt visa processing for Colombian citizens. The message was clear: comply with our demands or face the consequences. Facing immense pressure, Colombia ultimately conceded. The two U.S. military planes, carrying the 160 deported migrants, were finally granted entry. However, the Colombian government remained resolute in its commitment to humane treatment. Foreign Minister Luis Gilberto Murillo emphasized that Colombia would receive its deported citizens with dignity. To underscore this commitment, Petro offered a powerful symbol. He prepared his presidential plane to facilitate the return of the initially blocked deportees. This gesture, while symbolic, sent a clear message. Colombia may have yielded to pressure, but it would not compromise its principles. Murillo announced his impending travel to Washington for high-level meetings. The goal to find common ground on the issue of deportation and ensure the dignified treatment of Colombian nationals. The diplomatic tightrope walk had begun, a delicate balancing act between safeguarding national interests and upholding human rights. The Colombian saga resonated far beyond its borders. Brazil, grappling with similar deportation issues, condemned the U.S.'s treatment of its citizens. Brazilian officials cited reports of deportees arriving shackled, dehydrated, and denied bathroom access. They demanded an explanation from Washington, signaling growing discontent with U.S. deportation practices. The standoff served as a stark reminder of the power dynamics at play in international relations. It exposed the vulnerability of smaller nations reliant on trade with economic giants like the U.S. The incident also highlighted the potential for trade to be weaponized, putting economies and livelihoods at risk. The future of U.S.-Colombian relations hangs in the balance. While the immediate crisis was averted, the underlying tensions remain. The world watches, waiting to see if this diplomatic standoff will pave the way for a more equitable and humane approach to deportation, or if it will simply be a prelude to further disputes. One thing is certain: the issue of migration, with all its complexities and human costs, will continue to shape the global landscape for years to come.